Hey, what's up? I'm Michael. Today I'm going to be giving tips on things that every artist should take into consideration. This doesn't matter if you're a digital artist or traditional artist. These are things that you should take into consideration. So, if you are doing traditional art and then you're digitizing it later, or you're just doing traditional art and not even digitizing it right now, you need to think about the future. If you're doing digital art, you need to think about the future, especially with digital art. There are more variables with digital art that you need to get right than with traditional art. Why is that? Well, paper comes in standard sizes. Your canvas comes in standard sizes. And if you're going to work on that, then that's fine. But say in the future you want to take a picture of your artwork, you want to scan it in or something, and you want your artwork to go up on a website to show off to people. Well, say you do a really good piece of art and you're like, hey, I might actually be able to sell this piece or something. Well, you have to stop and think, hey, can I actually sell this, or is there something else I should be doing? Or, you have to think about your future, as I said. So you need to future-proof your art always. To do that, I'm going to start with digital, and the third step I'll tell you, it'll be about traditional as well. So for digital, you first need to pick out an aspect ratio, and that is the size, the relation of the width to the height. So say your image, say you want to do an image that's for a 1080p TV, you would do it in 1920 by 1080. And if you want to do something that is say it is an image to print that's 20 by 30, it would be something along the lines of 6,000 by 9,000. That 6,000 and 9,000 is a lot bigger than that 1080p image that you're doing. So, or the 1080 image you're doing. So, just because it'll look good on your TV doesn't mean that it would print good at a fine art printer. So, what you want to do is go to the websites around that sell stuff like the art prints and stuff and photography prints, and what you want to do is look at it, look at their templates and their sizes and stuff, and you need to figure out what the biggest image size that they have is and at what aspect ratio it's in. So say you had something that is a 1.5 to 1 image, then you could go in and set up your image to be 1.5 to 10. Well, say that you want to do a print that's a poster size or something. Well, you need to know the actual size, the biggest size you might need. So what you do, you want to set up an image according to an aspect ratio that you might want to use. And then you also want to go back in and say, hey, how big do I need to make the image overall? What size or what resolution do I need the image in? And when I'm saying resolution, I'm talking about the pixels per inch. So you need to take your canvas size and make it big enough at the right aspect ratio with the correct pixels per inch. And that's not even all. Once you do that, you need to go in, and this is where the traditional art kicks in as well. If you just have a piece of paper, say, and you want to make your artwork to where it has an inch border around it, when you went to digitize that inch border, you're going to need to cut that off of it. Not like physically cut it off, but digitally crop it off. And as you can see over here, I have a border around this with my name, the title, and all of that. Well, if you're just going to be displaying your art on the website, that's a great thing to do. However, if you're actually going to be printing your artwork, that's not something you want to do at all. You want it to actually come out all the way to the edge. And it doesn't have to come all the way to the edge of your paper. But if you're doing a digital piece, you want to have a cropped image cropped at the correct size and aspect ratio overall that goes all the way out to the edge. Now, what you really want to get into, though, with the traditional and digital at that point is how much of a live area do you have? How much bleed area is there? So when I talk about live area and bleed area, I'm talking about the inner space in your artwork where you can actually put your artwork. The bleed area should only contain background. There should be no text, no signatures or anything like that. And all of that stuff that's important to you needs to be inside the live area. Now the blue on here represents the live area, and as you can see right here, my image, I never thought about it at the time, my image actually comes all the way out into the bleed area. Now you don't want it to do that. Some printers will print that bleed area all the way out there, but if you look at this also, you can see it's got my signature in that green area. Well, my signature is going to be cut in half by that. And it's possible that the printer that you're going through will cut even deeper into that bleed area. So you need to figure out where your bleed area boundaries are, where your live art boundaries are. And you need to stick to those to where you have your artwork inside that live area and nowhere else. And then out to the edges or out to your border, that's where you want to have your, in that bleed area, just the background. And you might be thinking now, why does that matter at all? Well, if I was to take this to a printer exactly as it is, I would actually have about where these blue lines are, everything would be cut off, definitely. That's going to make that look really weird for my signature to not be there at all. And if I look in here, say they accidentally cut off all the way to the edge of the bleed area, to like right up to the edge of the live area, then they've cut out part of my artwork. And I really don't want that to happen. So in my future pieces of art, I'm going to go back and actually set it up so I have a nice little live area and then the bleed area around it. And then when I take that to the print shop online, or if I was to take it to, say, even take it to Walmart to have them printed on the canvas or something for me, because believe it or not, Walmart prints on canvas and stuff as well. So if you're doing photography, frame your subject and where you think the bleed area would be around it, and then your subject needs to be inside the live area and nowhere in that bleed area. Let me give you another example here. Again, the border, it looks nice, but if I'm going to have this printed, I don't want that on there. So, okay, now you can see where the dotted line is. Say that was the bleed area. I have the very possible chance that all of this could be cut off, and that's going to cut into the glow from his hands. It's going to make the image not look proper if it's printed. Another thing that's wrong with this image is, as I said, I've done this one at 1920 by 1080 for actually a theme on my PS3, and it is not a good print size at all. Now if you look at this one, this is a good print size, but the bleed area is wrong. His top knot, or his horns, I don't know if they're horns or exactly what they are. I think they're like a hard clump of hair, actually, but they're even off the edge of the canvas, and you don't want something like that. My signature also, let's just say this is the bleed area. So my signature also comes right down below that in certain spots, and it would basically do this to it. So now my image doesn't look the way I wanted it to, and part of my signature is gone. You know, you really want to make sure that everything is inside the proper area. Now this actually is a good image besides that. Now this, on the other hand, is a great image. I'm not sure about the print size of it. Let's see there. Oops. Shift I. I was pressing Control I. So this actually, for some reason, is at 118 pixels per inch. I'm not sure. Or this is pixels per centimeter. I'm not even sure why that's like that. Let me go up here and resize this and see what that sets up for me. Okay, so alright, let me go back here for a second. What this is saying, the original dimensions would allow this to be printed at 7 by 7.5 inches, basically. So you really want your image to be big enough, and you can go back if you have just a white border around it, and you can actually expand that border to give yourself a bigger bleed area. That's a really cool thing to do, is to have a colored border like this does, to where you can actually, say for a poster print, this would be awesome. You could go back in, and that way you can set your bleed area to whatever you need after the fact. Now with this one, if I was to go in and mess with it, my bleed area is very likely going to cut some stuff off that I don't want cut off. Like right up here, it's cutting out some of that green flame coming out of his nose. So, you know, it's really, I need to have my artwork down inside of that area a little bit better. Now this is the original, and you can see it's actually right up to here, but since this is just a digitized version, I could come in here and clean this up really good, and then add a white border around it, or increase the canvas size, and go back in and actually fix that up to where it would be the proper size and all. Now, I have done that with this one here, so you can see from here to here, the artwork is still there, and it looks, you know, it looks good and all of that. But I've added a border around it, and I've added actually a canvas look to the back of it. So what you want to do, make sure you have your image size, the pixels per inch, you want to have a proper bleed area and live area in it, and you want to have it in the correct aspect ratio. And that's how you future-proof all of your artwork. And hopefully this has helped, and I know that now that I know this, my artwork is going to change a little bit, and hopefully it will become a lot better. So thank you, I hope this helped, and see you later.